Good morning, everyone. Another weekend upon us, another opportunity to go camping. I'm out here at Barefoot Camp in Bend, Texas with Ladybug and his family. We're just wrapping up a good long weekend of camping next to the Colorado River. So for those of you who don't know, Barefoot Camp is near Bend, Texas. If you're used to Sulphur Springs, it's right next to that and right next to Colorado Bend State Park. This is the last weekend of the year that they're open. Hunting season starts next week, so we wanted to get one more camping excursion in before they shut the parks down and turn it into like a hunting camp. So a couple things I wanted to talk about. It's been a hot minute since I've done my last video. I know it's been a couple of weeks. Just work's been getting in the way. Last week I had to go to Boone, North Carolina for work, and I would like to say that those of you that live in that area, bravo. That place is beautiful. Appalachian Mountains, the colors are changing. Everything was beautiful. The Cherokee National Forest. The only regret I have is not being able to take the trailer. It was because it was a work trip. I had to go in a rental. Anyway, so a couple things I wanted to talk about since the last video, and then we'll just kind of have an open discussion with Ladybug and his family. First things I want to talk about is the lighting system. So this is something new that I got recently. It's a Devos Light Ranger. It is an area light for camping. And I was kind of on the fence about getting something like this because I've never needed one before, but I tell you what, after having this, it actually makes the camping experience and when you're in total darkness much better. The reason why I bought this over some of the others is that it is a 9-foot extension. Some of the others are around 6 to 7 feet, which in my opinion is not really tall enough to get you that good area light. This one, as you can see, has a solar panel to charge it during the day, but it also, you can buy filters, so you can do the bug lights and all that good stuff. But what you get out of the box is the light and the tripod and basically one of these stake legs so that you can keep it from blowing over in the wind. But I think that thing is worth the money that you spend on it. The light can detach, so you can use it separately, and you can actually use it as a battery. So if you want to charge your phones and stuff from the light itself, it's something that you can, because it's a lithium battery. Other than that, the other things that have changed since the last video, I did install the Red Arc Tow Pro Elite brake controller in the 4Runner. And tested it out this weekend. You know, in Texas, if you have a trailer that's under 4,000 pounds, you don't have to have brakes on your trailer. Anything over 4,000 pounds, you do have to have them. So it was kind of optional as to whether I wanted to do anything that would control the electric brakes on this trailer. The interesting thing is, because I've towed this without brakes for a while now, you can definitely feel it behind you, especially if you have to really get down on the brakes. It pushes against the 4Runner, and it actually... you have to kind of anticipate your stopping distance a little better without the brakes. I put this in before I came out here this weekend, and yesterday, or actually Friday when we came out, it was just pouring rain. So it was actually a perfect test to see if this actually worked out for me. And honestly, I didn't even know it was behind me at that point. The brakes engaged. I was able to stop, quicker. It just really made a difference. For those of you that aren't aware, the Red Arc Tow Pro Elites, the cool thing about it is when you install it, it's automatically set to proportional braking, meaning that it will take the braking that you're doing on your vehicle and apply that to the trailer. But you can dial it in. You can actually dial it up so that you can get more braking action in the rear, depending on your needs. So if you're on the fence about getting something like that, I highly encourage you to do it. The installation on the 4Runner specifically was extremely easy. I think it took me about 30 minutes. I didn't make a video on it because there's other people that have done videos on the Red Arc, so if you're curious, look for those. They'll show you how to install them in your vehicle. And like I said, it takes about 30 minutes to install the controller and hook it up. So other than that, the other thing I've done to the trailer that you can't really see is I've installed some blue gels on the rock lights underneath the trailer to kind of get a little bit more mood lighting. I don't have any video of that from testing it. Unfortunately, the Laminex blue filters aren't really dark enough for my taste, so I've got to do some adjustment there to really get it to be blue instead of the white lights that you get under the rock lights. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the furnace. So for those of you that have been following my videos, you probably know that when I did the walkthrough originally, I talked about the Propex furnace being something that I was on the fence about. And what's interesting about the furnace is it's an option. It doesn't come standard with these trailers. And I live in Texas, so for me, what are the chances I'm going to be out in such cold climates that I'm actually going to need to use a furnace like this? And honestly, what tipped me over the edge was something that my wife said. She was talking about, imagine taking a shower in the cold and then going into the cabin. You're going to want a warm cabin. So that tipped me over the edge, and I went ahead and got the option. since then, I haven't really had to use it. However, out here, and there's been a couple of occasions recently where I'll get in the cabin and the temperature inside the cabin is about 50 degrees. Now, normally I don't mind cold camping. I actually enjoy cold camping because there's just something about that. However, what I did since I've been out here is I'll kick the Propex furnace on for a few minutes to kind of warm the cabin up just a little bit, just to take the chill off, and then I'll turn it off and go to sleep. So if you're on the fence about this as an option and you live in a hot state like we do, go ahead and get it. I think it's actually going to be worthwhile investment. It's something that you might not use a lot, but when you need it, it's a really good thing to have, because like I said, taking the chill out of the cabin allows you to sleep easier, and it doesn't take much. It literally ran for about 5 minutes, warmed the cabin up enough to where I was ready to go to sleep, and then I just shut the Propex furnace off. So there's an inside thermostat for the Propex furnace, so when you need to turn it on, you just flip the switch on the inside the cabin. It'll kick on, it'll warm the cabin up, you turn it off, it takes a couple minutes to cool down, and then it shuts itself off. So definitely worth the investment. Now, it's not cheap. I think this was like a $1,500 add-on to the trailer, but as I've always said, buy once, cry once. So for me, it's something that I think is worth it. Okay, so with that said, I just wanted to talk to Ladybug and his family. We've got Mom Anonymous here, and we've also got Wolf Pup with us. So I know we just kind of wanted to have a discussion about experiences here at Barefoot, and I know that Ladybug had some gear, gear that I'm envious about when you think about it. There's some things that he brings out to the party that I'm just like, one more thing I need to buy, one more thing I need to engineer. And I think, Ladybug, you wanted to start with what, your water can, and then we'll move to the loop alley box.
Yeah, the water can is carrying water is always a challenge, especially if you get further out where you're dry camping in the middle of nowhere. We do a lot of desert camping, and carrying a lot of water to make it through the whole trip, it's something you have to pay attention to. But then you don't want to just carry it in containers that, one, can get damaged and leak out in the middle of the desert, two, that are hard to deploy, that are not convenient at camp. So one thing we experimented with recently was this marine spigot on a standard military scepter can. And what I did was I have several of those military scepter cans, so I sacrificed one of the lids and installed that spigot. The spigot, it's marine quality, so it can even run salt water. So it's that's how heavy duty it is. It's dual action, so as you pull that the pump actuator up and in, it's pumping at the same time. So it's kind of fast.
So you're not having to just get it one stroke, you get it both ways. Yeah, I've noticed that it actually makes it a lot easier to get water out of the can. Did you have to engineer that cap, though? You said you sacrificed one for that spigot. Is that something you actually built, or did you buy it like that?
I did. I had to just drill a hole into the top of a spare lid, and that fits. I think it's probably about a 3/4 inch hole, so it's no big deal. I used a hole saw and drilled that out, and then I used just 2 self-tapping screws to hold it to the lid. It's about I don't know, 7 out of 10 on stability.
Right.
The other downside of that is that you don't want to, I don't transport it with the spigot on there, because like if you put it up on the top of your truck and then you took it down and it bumped on something or it fell, that spigot will probably get damaged.
Right, it'll shatter, yeah.
So what I do is I leave the original lid on. As you can see, it's still tethered, the original, that threads on, and then the entire scepter goes on top of the roof, or your swing out bumper, water or gas carrier.
Yeah, I really like that design. I know when you first brought it out, I was impressed about how, like you said, it's a separate cap, right? It's a separate lid that you can bring with you and then install it when you get to camp, but otherwise you transport your cans with this.
Yeah, this whole thing comes off and then this one goes back on, and I'll waste a little water because I'm leaving today anyway, but you can see. These are marine grade, so they're pretty high quality. They're not cheap. I think it's about $60.
Yeah.
You can find them less expensive online at different places, but not ideal, but not bad. Yeah. There's also a tube that goes down into the tank.
I was going to ask about that. Does that tube go all the way down to the bottom, or is it just like a half tube? Like
at some point, the tube stops about here. Okay. And so what I did was I added a flexible tube that goes all the way to the bottom, and just cut it to length, and I cut it at an angle so it can't seal to the bottom of the tank and minimize the flow.
Right.
So it works pretty well. First time out with that, it's working okay. I like it.
So you bought this whole thing is what you bought, right? So you bought the pump, you've got this mount, you've got the initial hose or the tube.
Yeah, and I just bought the tube from the hardware store for that.
I really like that.
Sets it up.
It's made it very convenient to get water out it from a filling
it's
up
easy.
cups, filling
Works
up
pretty
stuff.
well.
It's not like you have to tip it and hold
Right.
it. And,
Yeah. Tipping a 5-gallon over with the little tiny
painful.
spigot is
Yeah.
a pain. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So the other cool thing about this is that if you have this mounted on a swing out on your bumper, you could just leave it in place. You
Yeah.
could just take this off, put your spigot lid on,
Yep.
and then walk up to the trailer or to the back of the truck at your swing out and pump water, bring it into your cooking area,
Right.
and not even have to take the tank off of your bumper.
Yeah.
In
Very
my
convenient.
case, in this trip, I've got it on the roof because I don't have my swing out bumper set up yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets pulled down, I put the lid on, and then reverse it and put this in a safe spot in the truck before putting this back on the roof.
Yeah, I think the alternatives that we've seen up until this have been like the water ports. You can hold about 4.5 gallons in the water port. It's got a pump where you can pressurize it, and then it's got a nozzle like a shower head that you can use. Those are fine. I actually have one that I would normally carry on the back of my 4Runner on the roof rack. That's what the mount is up on the top there. But their use is kind of limited. It's really not as efficient as this for what we use it for, right? To fill up cups, fill up stuff, to use water out of this.
Pot cooking.
Consumption water versus
Yeah.
using it as a shower, which is not what you'd use this for. So
That's a good point. Is that this is typically for water for drinking, water for cooking.
Right.
We have another way, like with the trailer, you've got your onboard water,
Yeah.
and it's pumped through for the sink. Different setup.
Right.
And you're right. The water port kind of like is dual purpose. You take that down, you can go rinse off, wash off, dump some water in for cooking or drinking. So this one was mostly just, hey, I need a sip of water, or I need to cook with some water.
Yeah. It's interesting. When I got the water port, it was before I got the trailer, and I was using it because I'm like, we've been to the beach. It's good to rinse yourself off and wash yourself off. And there wasn't, at that time, we didn't really have a good mechanism for doing that, which is why I bought the water port. But what I've started doing now, because now I have the trailer with its own onboard water, I actually take the water port and carry it with me when I'm on the ranch doing mowing. Because it seems like every year you hear about some farmer hitting a rock, spark, boom, sets
water.
a grass fire going. It's good to have some water system to
good.
put that out when you discover it. So it's not perfect, but it's kind of weird. I've transitioned the usage of the water port to something completely independent of what it was designed for.
Yeah.
So I know you said you
next to
let's move to the box here.
We were at the Outdoor Expo recently in Llano, the 2022 Texas Avid Outdoor, and I've always had my eyes on the alley box. I never really wanted to drop the hammer on them. I think, as you see, I run wolf packs. They're a lot less expensive. They're in stock all the time. They're stackable. Front Runner makes good stuff, etc. But man, I always had my eye on the alley box. It's a tier 1 brand. It's legendary. It's got decades and decades of engineering behind it, and you always see the expedition crews, whether they're humanitarian, military, or just expedition for fun, running these things. So I've gotten up close to a few times and really liked them, but never wanted to drop the dollars on them. This one was on sale, so I was like, hey, why not? Plus, I've transitioned to chairs, the smaller packable chairs, which don't have armrests and don't have some place to put your beverage. So this kind of acts as an end table also, so it's nice to have it. So then I kind of set up a new experiment to see what do we need at camp. So this becomes my end table and also becomes my at camp box.
Right.
We're taking this down kind of to the ridiculous with our organization, but it's also pretty fun. So the experiment here was, one, let's just play with a super cool box at camp. 2, let's put stuff in it that you would normally have and that you would need at camp that you didn't want to walk back to the truck for.
Right.
That sounds silly, but it's just really fun. So what do I have in here? Right now, I've got a hatchet. I've got a lighter for the fire. I've got the drone, because I'm usually sitting down at camp relaxing and then going, I'd like to send the drone up.
Yeah.
So if the drone's in here already, maybe I won't go back and try to dig him out of somewhere in the truck.
Right.
I've got a small medical kit, but it's a boo-boo kit. It's not the trauma kit.
Right.
And this is for, you're sitting at camp and someone goes, hey, I need a Band-Aid. Here we go. It's right there. And just some various other things. I got a fixed blade knife. I've got some paracord. Headlamps, yes. I've got a whole baggie for, it holds all my headlamps, so when somebody needs light.
So I know you are like the organization king compared to mine, and I'll just be honest here, and I'll show everyone that hasn't seen the way I organize gear. It's pretty pathetic. I mean, yeah, I've got a couple of front runners, but I got stuff all over the place. So when it comes to that box with the amount of accessories you have in it, how are you going to label that? Like, what are you going to classify that as, so that this is what's in this box? Because obviously you can't list every item you have in it, but there's a certain theme to the kind of stuff you put in your box. I'm just curious.
There is, and it's something I play with all the time. It's like I have drawers in the back of the Land Cruiser, and the drawers, they have layers, and like to put things so that we can find it quickly.
Yeah.
And that they're easy to get to.
Right.
So what I'll do is I can kind of show you this drawer now. We're kind of a mess right here because we're heading out today, but I'll go ahead and close this up. I'll just do a quick walkthrough of the left-hand drawer. Kind of a mess up front.
Nice.
But these guys, this area here is going pretty well. So what I have here, I have my 1/2-inch drive stuff. So this is like 1/2-inch socket. I've got my, I'll talk about that in just a second. Why would you carry something that heavy, right? Here I've got my fix-it kit. So this is everything you might need for, it's got wire straps, it's got baling wire, tape, all that sort of stuff.
King of organization, man.
Down again, electrical supplies, diagnostic. I've got a meter in here. I've got extra fuses for all the electrics that are in here, etc. I've got, this is random shit needing direction in life. So there's always just extra stuff. I'm like curious myself as to what's in here, you know, let's just see. Oh, in this case, my water filter. I was like, yeah, I need to carry my water filter, and I haven't really, so really this needs to be relabeled with water filter, you know.
For those of you who don't know, Ladybug wants to be Ronnie Doll.
I do.
I mean, he is a Ronnie Doll fan.
Animal.
So
fire, you need to build fire, you know.
Yep.
Either primitive or just make it easy.
Right.
Like there's probably a thermite grenade in there, you know. Just maybe. And then batteries. You always need batteries. So,
yeah, double A's,
triple A's, Sierra 2032s.
Never have enough batteries.
All of it. And while we try to get everything rechargeable, there's still people out there with batteries.
Yeah. Well, think about all the headlamps out there, right? They
headlamps
require triple A's, and they go out in the middle of nowhere at the most inconvenient time.
We've actually transitioned to the Streamlight ones that you just plug into USB.
Yeah, to recharge.
Yep. Why this guy? First thing I'm testing out is these are tent stakes, right?
Yep.
And you can clamp that on. This rocky ground, not good for this.
Yeah.
Not terrible, but not good.
Right.
But in more hard packed dirt, these are awesome. Just hit that and boom, go.
Yeah, I've seen you use those because you just go straight in, straight out.
Yeah,
right?
It's fast. It's fast. It's like
so
it's a takeoff
than
of the screw down ones that they have for the beach, which are awesome.
Yeah.
Now, why bring this? I mean, it's a giant thing. It uses tons of power. It's heavy. It's bulky. But this is mostly for if you need to change a tire and it's in the rain and somebody over torqued the lug nuts, or it's somebody else's vehicle. This will get you out of that situation really quickly. Yeah. And also, if you're on the trail and somebody has they've got a repair to do, and there's a nut that's just locked up, having this is really cool. Incidentally, blue tape. The way I travel with this right now, it's just in like, but I don't travel with the battery in because if
you accidentally hit it,
yeah, you can have something like how you're driving down the road and you hear this beep, and you know, what is that? I pull over because it got nestled in there. So what I do is I pull the battery. I got this painter's tape, which I use painter's tape for literally everything. And I just tape around the, like that.
Oh, okay. And it kind of hides the...
That's how I store it.
Yeah, okay.
So you can't accidentally short circuit it with anything in here. And that's my setup. Tools, always got to have tools.
Yeah, I like your rollout bag for that.
Rollout bag, and the way this is, I need labels on here, but basically every time I do maintenance on Land Cruiser, I run this toolkit, and then stuff gets put in and stuff gets removed. Like you'll notice there's like 15 10mm sockets. There's a couple of really fancy needle nose that I use all the time. So
philosophically, I respect and appreciate the tool sets here, but if you're having to bring all this gear for tools specifically, what's it say about your vehicle? Are you really, do you not have a lot of faith in your vehicle? You expect it to break down in the, I mean, I get it. Things ultimately break, things break down, but you know, you would expect that a factory vehicle wouldn't have the kind of problem that requires all this. Now, again, when we talk about Ronnie Doll, if you've watched any of his videos, he does have breakdowns in the field, even though he's got hardcore gear, and he's thankful he has this kind of role. But for the average Joe, would you expect someone to have something like this? Or
not
is this
really. And
just
this, again, this is a lot of weight, and it's a lot of bulk to have. But the bottom line is that there are things, this is a 22-year-old vehicle, right? It's also the pinnacle of reliability. It's a Land Cruiser 100 series. And
I need to add something about this. Also,
here we go.
Ladybug is the most prepared person on earth. So long before he had this, 20-year-old vehicle, he still had all of these skills.
He still had this preparedness mindset.
He's very prepared.
It happens.
So we all feel very safe.
It's fun.
And there are days when this is why I like camping with Ladybug, because I know unequivocally if something happens with my rig, he's got me covered, right? And, you know, it's not that everyone in your party should have this kind of setup,
agreed.
but at least somebody should, right? Because you're going to want to take advantage of that.
The other side of the coin is that I'm always trying to be ready to help somebody else that's out there for two reasons. And one is just, you know, you want to be a good community person.
Yeah.
Two, you don't want to interrupt your trip. Here's a good example. Let's say that you're 6 hours off-road in the middle of Big Bend. You come upon, say, a Toyota 4Runner.
Yep.
And it's got, it's blown a shock or something.
Got to point out the 4Runner. How about we talk about like a taco or a Jeep?
Yeah,
you
taco.
know?
Yeah, either one. Yeah. If it's a
4Runners
Jeep,
are rock solid. They don't break down.
If it's Jeep, I'm going to set up my chairs and get
laugh
some
at
beers
them.
out and just, you know, just relax. Not really. We love the Jeep people. But if we're out there and somebody's got a problem, right?
Yeah.
You have two options. One, you can do nothing, or two, you can try to help, right? If you try to help, again, back to the just change the tire. If you have to get out there, let's say the weather's bad. Let's say your family's hungry and you're late to get back to your camp or back to whatever. The faster you can solve that problem, the better.
Yes.
So if you have the tools to do that, you can make somebody else's life better.
Yep.
In some cases, it might even get so extreme that you can like help somebody get out of a really bad situation that maybe it's not life or death, but it might be, you know, health situation. We need to get them out of here quick. Or maybe they're going to lose their rig unless you can fix it and move it out of a wash area that's about to get flooded.
Yep.
Or it's falling off a cliff or something, and that's getting a little extreme. But having the tools to fix stuff that I know how, it's always been a neat thing.
Well,
rigs do break. They
Yeah.
do break. Other people's rigs break, and if you can solve that problem quickly and effectively, then you can get back to the business of chilling out here in nature.
Well, that's why I go back to at least somebody in your crew
Yes, that's
needs
true.
to have this type of setup. Not
Yeah.
everybody needs to carry this, but if you're alone, you're going to want something like this. If you're with a group, at least somebody haul this, right? Because the way I know Ladybug and I operate typically when we go out camping is we have certain redundancies. Like we bring water, we bring certain things that we both bring, but there's also obligations to say, hey, you know, I'll bring X and you bring Y.
Yeah.
That way we're not both carrying everything redundant, right? But there are certain things that you do.
Really
So it's good to have this type of setup.
So with the fridge, I bring a shore power cord and I bring an extension cord.
Yep,
so
extension cords are money, man. I started carrying one of those because you never know.
You never know. Whenever you stop somewhere and you've got shore power, go ahead and plug the fridge into that so that you don't have to run your battery down.
Yep.
And it's just free energy. So take that.
Yeah.
Just, you know, always have paracord. This guy here, I'm running on DC right now, of course. I run the freezer at 28 because I have ice cubes, and I run the fridge at 36.
I run mine at 17 and 38, so you run yours a little warmer.
I run the this one at 36, but see, my fancy ice cubes are in there, and they're just fine at 28. At
28,
right?
Yeah.
Because 32
just
is for water freezing, right? Now, here's the thing, though. The colder you go on your freezer, the less efficient it is. And so my battery really works hard to maintain this right around at the 0 or 5 degrees. What do you need 0 or 5 degrees? Ice cream.
Yeah.
Ice cream does not stay firm at 28 degrees.
Yeah, that's why I run mine at 17. I need to rethink how I run the freezer because I only ever really carry ice.
If I'm only carrying ice, I just go barely below freezing, and the ice is fine.
You don't have to worry about melt.
It does not melt at all, right? My fridge, this depends a lot on what you're carrying and your fridge specifically.
See, it's weird because you're at 35 on your fridge. I run 38 on mine and 17 on that. So maybe I need to rethink that. But if it's an efficiency thing, I need to, again, I don't know much about the electric. So I know that generally speaking, my rig is okay. It's a dual battery setup. I don't really worry about it as much. And that Truma is actually pretty efficient. But
it's pretty efficient.
In the winter, it's better because it doesn't have to do as much. But
That's
in the
exactly
summer,
right.
it just,
and that's where, like, when we're out at the beach and I want to bring ice cream, then it gets, it's a challenge to keep this at the low temp. Running inefficiently, it's going to burn that battery down really quickly. Yep. So you just have to be careful, and you just have to it's mission specific. And if ice cream's on your mission, then you just have to figure it out.
Just because we're camping doesn't mean we live like peasants.
That's right.
We have the ability to bring some little amenities.
I'll talk about these drawers. This is Gen 4 of my drawer system for this truck, and it's an interesting situation because the first pack I did was I just put a plate down. And bolted some things to the plate. I had the wolf packs were bolted down.
Right.
It's pretty cool. And then next one I did was ARB system. Downside of ARB was that the gap between them, they waste a lot of space with the roller system they have. And so these drawers are significantly higher volume than the ARB ones. Also, the ARB ones are a little shorter, narrower, because it's a universal fit. This is designed for the Land Cruiser by Big Country and put out by Rugged Bound.
Right.
So I looked at these, and the volume of the drawers is huge. I mean, you can see, here's another very important point. A lot of drawers, they only come out 3/4 like this.
Yeah.
And then because of the rail system,
to get in,
so you have to do this. I thought it wouldn't be a big deal. After running the ARBs for about a year, It was just not acceptable. I was like, this is crazy. I have to reach back, and that's terrible. These come
all the way out.
All the way out. And so you have access to all the way to the back, which is nice.
So the question about these, weight. I know you've got, do you have special coils on the back end?
I did,
or, okay,
yes.
because I would assume that the weight of this unit on a standard vehicle would cause sag. Because
it begins to, especially when you start loading it down with all your junk.
Yeah. The trays, or the drawers themselves probably aren't extremely heavy. It's when you start loading them up.
They start loading, right?
Yeah.
Notice
this is
too.
a full, instead of having
this
dividers.
one's a full, and this one is it's just an open drawer. But notice how it's shorter.
Yeah.
It's got a little less, and the reason for that is the extra space that's behind it is used for my my battery.
Okay.
So this is like my kitchen kit. I've got my JetBowl knockoff, my Stanley French press.
Hey, it's not a knockoff.
Stanley
That Camp Chef is money, man.
Yeah,
Both have those.
Right,
those things are great for making coffee.
I got my Ronnie Doll shower here, which we haven't really tested.
Oh yeah, the one that has a little pump on it.
My mitts. These are good stuff. Yeah, Stanley shot glasses and stuff. But anyway, it's a little bit of a mess. A bunch of trips on this. You got to make sure you get. I'm using a Primus stove, which I hope to upgrade that at some point to something that's smaller. See how much it takes up a lot of room in my drawers.
Pretty bulky.
But this works pretty good. This works. It's a nice deal, and it allows me to keep everything pretty organized and in the same spot. This drawer almost never gets unpacked. I drive my daily driver around with this all packed up, and I have a flat top steel that sits here. It's out right now, so we're cooking on it. But very cool. These drawers are heavy duty and very spacious and very well engineered.
So I know you, a couple of things I want to talk about. One is the USB. You actually installed that. But the other thing I think you mentioned to me last night was these handles are okay, but you think that they need to have like straps, right? Because these become problematic when you're on an angle or something, right?
I love the look of this. It's super clean.
Yeah.
Two things. One, you'll note the ARB, they kind of cut down the front of the drawer.
Right.
And so actually, if you did this and you closed it, you're not going to get your hand smashed.
Right.
With these, the Australians, or the South Africans rather, they're like, yeah, whatever, dude, get over it. You know. So if you're on an incline with all this weight in here, this drawer is really heavy.
Yeah.
It's loaded down. If you're on an incline and this starts closing and get your fingers in there,
smash your
that's
fingers.
going to hurt real bad. So you have to have some discipline to not do that, right?
Yeah.
And then you grab this. This is not very comfortable.
Yeah.
This is really my only complaint about this is that, like, if you're on an incline, you got to grab this to open it. If it's heavy, it's a drag.
Some of the other drawers I've seen of other manufacturers, they have like a leather strap up here as well as this, so that you can grab that and pull it out. It's actually a little bit more meaningful.
At the Texas event this 2022 that we're just at, they said they've got pull handles for these coming out now.
Okay.
So I got to talk to Theo.
Is that something you can retrofit on these?
I'm sure it could. Yeah. So this is just a front plate.
Okay,
This can be. In fact, this is screwed on. Now I'm hoping the handle better not
include
they're awesome because I love the look of these. You know, and you can see I'm real selective with what stickers I put on here right now. That's actually magnetic, but I'm all into Red Arc. They're awesome.
Oh yeah.
So these they lock really
a good substantial
bulletproof
tactile
lockdown.
feel.
Yeah, it's like boom. So that's really cool.
And they're lockable too, which I like.
They are lockable. There's room here. You know, there's a space that goes this wide all the way to the back. Now there's some contours.
So tell me about the USB because you did that yourself.
Yeah,
right? That didn't come that way.
Yeah, this wing is just open. So I ran from my auxiliary battery system a wire up to here. So now I have two. I've got the I think I don't know which version of USB it is, but it's the high amp one. So I get 2.1 amps.
So you can push faster to charge.
Yeah, I can charge my GoPro or my phone.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can even magnet mount that there. And then and just go. So that's cool. I'm also my battery management system right now is on my phone, which is it's useful, but I kind of don't like using my phone. Yeah, he's laughing at me already.
Ladybug Glove showing us, hey, I'm drawing 9 amps. Hey, I'm drawing.
I'm all about
it's
all
it's pretty funny. It's
right now I'm running this the battery management system is from Overkill Solar, I think it is. That was the first one I did. It's just a battery pack for 100. And so like right now we're pulling 4.5 amps out and we're at 87% battery. This is day 3 technically.
Yeah.
And so we're in great shape, right? We have 80% of our battery, 87% ready to go.
Even
the
though
sun
it's been
just came up.
overcast,
Yeah, we've still been making good power. I don't like carrying my phone around.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to be doing is dumping this, and I got a Victron shunt that's going to go over in the battery compartment, and I'm going to put the Victron display right here. Now the one I got also, I think it's the model 712, I want to say, and BMV 712 maybe. Don't quote me on that, but it's one of those. It also has the Bluetooth. So let's say you're in your tent, either in your rooftop tent or in your ground tent, and you want to check the power, see how you're doing. You can pull it up on your phone.
You don't have to get out of the tent to come look at the video. You got it on your phone.
But mostly when you're at camp, this is mission control, so you can see that thing right here. You can say, oh, cool, it's at 80%, it's at 100%, or wow, we're at 40%. I better check my solar and make sure everything's working right. So those are the things that we do.
It's a good little visual gauge to have. And I think you mentioned you're going to actually, your gauge will monitor not only the power source, but also your starter battery.
The 712 has a separate input that you can run to your starter battery.
You get an idea of
so the use case there is like, well, not just for a couple of days. Well, first of all, don't go traveling with a bad starter battery.
Yes.
Make sure your starter battery is in good shape. For me, after about 2 years, I just replace it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't go fancy. I just do what's going on over there. But I just do an inexpensive Costco starter battery. I get the big one, and the warranties on them are really good. They're really good, actually. There's a joke about that, that their warranty is kind of like infinite. Anyway, take a look at your user agreement with Costco if you shop at Costco. But what you can do with the Victron is you can run a wire up to the front and tap off one of your, maybe a fuse block or something, and then you can look at your meter and know that your starter battery is still good.
Right.
Again, what's the use case? Let's say you're way out for, say, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days, and your car is parked, your vehicle is parked, and maybe somebody left the dome light on, or maybe you have some parasitic draw on your system, like your winch or your something is pulling on your starter battery that you didn't really know.
Yeah.
If you're only out for 2 days, it probably wouldn't hurt the battery. But the last thing you want to do is day 5, oh, we got to hustle, we got to get out of here, and you go and your starter battery's dead.
Won't run.
So it can just give you, you know, day 3, you probably just take a peek, make sure your starter battery's good. And if it is, then great. If not, then solve the problem.
It's good peace of mind, right? Just to have additional metrics on what's going on.
Speaking of that too, is when you have food in your fridge, keeping an eye on that is cool. A Snowmaster has this thing. This is pretty 1980s engineering, but I'll take it. It's kind of old school. So this thing here, it's a remote. It's solar powered, so you can put it in the sun so it stays powered up, or you can plug it in to USB to power it. And it's just a little remote that indicates what your temperatures are. You can actually set it from here. It tells you what the voltage is on the battery. Is this
Bluetooth, or how does it connect to the fridge?
It's its own type of. It's probably not Bluetooth. It's just some 1980s wireless protocol.
Well, I mean, because to do this today, we have to use an app on our phone.
True,
like, I know the Truma's got a Bluetooth app that I can.
That's
tweak
pretty
stuff,
cool. That's pretty cool.
But again, you got to carry your phone around with you. Right? You got to have that running. And
what I do with this though is I take this in the tent with me at night, because like when this isn't perfect. This wiring needs to be redone. So it's, I need a divider here, and there's some other upgrades that need to happen. So when this is getting deployed and we're in and out of the fridge, if this wire comes disconnected or something happens here and we don't notice, and then we close this all up and we go to bed at night, man, 8 hours later we're gonna have, the food's gonna be okay, but in the morning
your ice cream's gonna melt.
My ice cream's gonna melt. My bourbon ice is gonna melt.
Oh yeah, your block ice is gonna melt.
Serious tragedies here.
All the important things are gonna be ruined. Yeah.
But realistically, you want to know as soon as possible if your fridge has failed, right? And if this gets disconnected, there's going to be no beep. There's no power to the fridge. This guy here, when he's on and talking to the fridge, if these get out of range, they go ahead and beep at you.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you get an alarm.
If that power goes down and it can't talk to the fridge anymore, it starts beeping at you.
I like the fact, is this the available battery from, I mean, this is plugged into your battery system, right?
Do you
get a general idea of that's how much it's drawing, or is that how much is available?
This is the status of the battery. This is the voltage to the fridge right now. So it's 13.2 volts. That makes sense because my battery is basically, I think it's right around 13.6 at the top. Now, the thing about it is judging a lithium iron phosphate battery with a voltmeter it's a fool's errand. You can't really do that. You need a battery monitor to do that.
Good to limit.
However, if you were to look at this and it said 10.2, it's like, I got a problem.
Oh yeah. If it gets below 11, you're like, oh,
right,
I got
start
problems.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
But either way, the voltage there doesn't really tell me much. I'm watching my temps, and then when this thing starts beeping at me, now I'm good.
So does this have also a plug in the back so that you could re-engineer the wiring? Because I know the Truma has one in the front and in the back, and the way it's rigged up in my trailer, it's in the back so it can slide in and out. But
unfortunately, it seems a little bit. It's just here now. This guy can move to the side over here.
Okay, this unit can?
Yes, this guy here pops out and he can be moved over to this side.
Okay.
And that can be useful, but yeah, that's not ideal. Ideally, I would like this guy to have open this way. So when you deploy him out, I'm not going to worry about it.
Can you not switch the door around?
No, the doors don't switch on this one. There's some other models where the hinges
I know
flip.
the Truma you can flip it depending on your needs.
Now it does have, this is pretty cool. It's got 12-volt input and 12-volt output. And that's a Anderson connector, small Anderson connector. So instead of using this guy, you can plug in there.
Nice.
And more hardwired. That's really a better connector than this.
Yeah.
I use this because it's easy, and of course there's shore power for AC input.
So they have an input and output, which is pretty cool. And if you talk to the people that run these, for expeditions and stuff, a lot of times they'll have multiple. And so they lay them out, and then whatever their power source is, either solar or maybe shore power, they can daisy chain their fridges and not have to split up the power at the power junction. So maybe we have one power output at 12 volt.
Yeah.
As long as you manage the number of amps, say you have 3 of these guys, you can daisy chain those guys together. So it's a neat little feature.
So I know I got Mama and Alma, so do you have anything you want to add to this?
The fridge, the freezer.
Oh yeah, here's my non-technical opinion. I love this. This thing is amazing. So happy.
It's a game changer. Having a fridge in the field to be able to have one ice cream, little amenities, but really keeping your food cold. Yeah.
And no ice. You don't have
exactly.
We
you don't have to bring bags of ice and coolers. And
waterproofing your food. Well, we cook. We cook hardcore, and so we always have fresh food in there. It's not we don't. It's not just a bunch of boxed stuff. We're always prepping and having baggies of stuff so we can make real food.
Yep.
And to be able to not have to waterproof it, or it really sucks. Like you make up something, I don't know, some skillet potatoes or something, and it's in a bag, and then it's in the cooler, and then the Ziploc bags, they always leak.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there and you got water in there, and it's ruined.
Especially if you're marinating something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the water gets
don't want that
it's disgusting.
Now you've contaminated your entire cooler.
Yeah.
With if it's like pork or something, you're totally contaminated your deal. So it's a train wreck.
And we have some nice modular sealable plastic containers that we keep in here, or we even have glass ones. I don't know if we brought any of the glass ones.
We didn't bring the glass ones.
What's the capacity on yours?
This is a 60. I can't remember. I think it's either 66 quarts or 66 liters.
It's probably liters.
64 liters, something like that.
So yours about the same size. I think mine's like a 69 liter, but it's basically the same. And is it dual zone as well?
It is,
you got freezer,
dual
fridge.
zone.
Is it two types of lids? Or so you've got the split lids. The Truma doesn't. It actually has a little clamp that goes over the ice area. I'm kind of mixed about that. I like the idea of having 2 different lids, but to your point, I have the little cover that goes over that, and it's one lid. It's a little bit more efficient in the usage of it.
Yeah, see, like in this case, I've got my fancy block ice for bourbon, right? And see,
I'm surprised you didn't brand it.
I know, right? I need to have my branding on it. So, got 2 levels in
the
here.
The light and everything too. Yeah.
The light's really cool. It's got a good seal.
Yeah.
A couple of things on this is to keep them clean when you get back. I just leave it plugged in.
Yeah.
And the other thing I do, which is a little different, is I get one of these.
A little internal thermometer.
And I drop it in here, and this has high-low too, right? Okay. So if I haven't reset this because we're fine, but if you're like testing a new system, or you're not 100% sure that your electrics are serving your fridge freezer properly, throw one of these in there and then set it, and it's going to tell you the high temp.
Yeah.
It records high temp. See, there's back here, you can clear it, boom, and now it's right now it's we'll bring it out, so it's rising to 41 degrees, right?
It'll literally adjust as it measures. Yeah.
So what it'll tell you is during the night it shut off and it came back on. You would see the high temp in here might have gone up to the 50 something. Okay. So your food might have been in danger.
Yeah.
Okay. So this can just help you to dial in what you're trying to do.
Add-on. Yeah, I never thought about that. I'm gonna consider one.
And then it's nice to have butter's not floating in water. We got our beers and stuff, and it's fun.
It's a Snowmaster Expedition.
Snowmaster Expedition. It says if it says Expedition, I pretty much have to buy it. Actually, I was wrong.
It's weird that this is lockable too.
Yeah, it's cool.
You wouldn't expect that to be a thing, but
the South Africans, their use case is really interesting. They have a lot of, sometimes they're transporting like organs and medications and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they trust these fridges for those.
Yeah.
For that
so they have to lock them up.
So they can lock them. Yeah. On deploying it, see, I have my drawers are tall. It's got to like drop down like this so you have access. Kind of a drag, I mean, there's compromises with everything. Like this is a big fridge, so with the Land Cruiser, I can't open this all the way.
Oh, good point.
I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it's it's there.
Yeah.
This one does open all the way, so it can sit open
further out.
For the that's no problem,
Okay.
So the big advantages. We're always working around what we've got, and I love the drawers, so I'm not going to change that.
Well, I know we've been running a little bit long, everybody. What we'll do is we'll have some parting thoughts. I think this has been a great review. It's been long overdue. Everybody has different kinds of gear, and it's kind of hilarious because we talk about this a lot, Ladybug and I. It's like we'll get some new people coming out. They'll bring out some new gear and say, "Oh, one more thing I gotta buy." It's like, "Oh!" So we definitely envy each other's gear, and it kind of drives up some of the cost of upgrading our own rigs. So, but yeah, we'll head back over to the coffee station here, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, so we're back at the coffee station here, just some final thoughts. So Ladybug, as far as I know, we did a good extensive talk about the gear. I think that's good. I know a lot of people are interested in upgrading their camping gear and all that good stuff, so it's always good to see what's out there from a practical perspective. Any thoughts about Barefoot? I know this is the first time we've been here. My personal opinions are I love this place. I mean, it's a little more kept up compared to Sulphur Springs, in my opinion. The roads are a little bit better, but it also means that you're going to have more people, right? Because it's more accessible. The entry point is much lower here than, say, Sulphur Springs, which really requires four-wheel drive to be able to traverse the river road and get to the really good camping spots. What are your thoughts on this place compared to Sulphur Springs?
Pretty cool. You know, we were looking for another place that's in the area that's quick. We're from Austin, so you know, that puts us at about an hour and a half to get here. It's really easy. And the roads are better. It is definitely more developed, and that's good and bad. You know, I think there's a lot more people that are going to come through here. Although they said they were going to be full, but we haven't really seen that many people.
Yeah, I think the rain kept a lot of people away on Friday. A lot of people canceled.
We don't have a good feel for what it means for this place to be full.
Yeah.
We picked this site here, and I think yeah, you nailed it here. This is a great site. We're pretty low, so we did have to keep an eye on the weather. We did have to keep an eye on the river. There's really no expectation that it would rise, but if it does rise, if it did rise during the night, we'd have had to hustle and get out of here. But it's nice being right down here. I can hear the water. I can see the bluffs in the morning. The sun comes over. It's beautiful. We're far enough away from any of the camps to where there wasn't any crowding going on.
Yeah.
We did have some people come through. They were super nice. It was actually real friendly. I think you ended up having about an hour conversation with them about all manner of things.
Oh yeah.
So that was fun. So I would definitely come back here and check it out some more. I'd like to do some exploring too, because it's a fairly large property. You have maybe a mile along the river, maybe
at least.
Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
And there's a lot of riverfront. We walked down. There's some neat. I caught a little bass, just goofing off with the fishing pole, not even trying. And there's fish in there. It's pretty, it's nice, it's peaceful. There's a lot of wildlife too. You got goats running.
Oh yeah, the
down
billy
the
goats
cliffs.
up all on the cliffs last night. They were dropping plates and
yeah, they were just dropping stuff.
crazy.
It's hilarious. I saw a porcupine out in Sulphur Springs.
He claims he saw a porcupine. I still I don't think porcupines are down here, but I think he saw a nutria or a beaver or something else.
Not a nutria. It was not a beaver. I know.
We go round and round about the porcupine scene. Yeah.
My dog can confirm that it was actually a porcupine. But yeah, we like it. I think it's good. It's definitely worth exploring. So it's nice to get out here and test some of the gear.
Yeah.
So people are real nice too. It's inexpensive as well.
You know, speaking of that, real quick, I know we're going to wrap. I know we've gone a little bit long, but I want to talk about your gazelle, because this is the first time you've actually used it in a camping scenario, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's get that out of the way, because I think this is something that you either saw at TAO or you've been looking at these, and I know you talked about getting one, and this is the first one that you've had, right? You never had a gazelle before.
No, first time out too. What we were doing is we had an REI. I think it was called the Kingdom or something. It's a 6-person tent. This is family camping.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be comfortable, lots of space, room to close to stand up. That was trying to fit that bill. Downside of that tent is it did not hold to wind. We had it out at Padre Natural Seashore. It collapsed. Still a good quality tent, but not for the type of camping that we can find ourselves in, which is windy sometimes. Otherwise, it was great. Now, I did a ton of research, and I'm not a big fan of the pop-up style tents.
Yeah.
I think the engineering on them was just not up to what we were looking for.
Right.
Now, this one is an exception. The engineering on it is really good. The fabric they use, it's tough. When you look at this tent, it departs from a lot of the designs that a lot of us look for, like having a vestibule, having the rain fly cover most of the tent. So what they did here was, I'll be real quick on this, but the windows they've engineered so that when you close up that window, there's overlapping and there's drainage. So when the rain comes into this from the side, it just rolls down the side of the tent. The doors, they're kind of triangular, which helps keep the structure really strong. The setup time on this is literally 90 seconds.
Yeah, it was real easy. I know when watching you set it up yesterday was, you know, the way it extends out. It's almost like a little habitat. I know there's a...
It is. Mm-hmm.
When we went to TAO, there was somebody that, I can't remember what it was called.
The name of that. It's that silver quilted looking tent.
Yeah, it's quilted.
You'll know it.
They use them as like FEMA uses those. And this is kind of like that, but not
like
quilted.
It's a pod style.
Yeah.
So
habitat type.
There's no threading rods through anything. It's all just unfold it and then pull the walls pop out.
Right.
And
so they pop out from here.
Yeah. You can see the amount of you just grab this handle here. When you pull these out, you got these ribs that hold it out in 4 places. The roof goes up there. This guy's got its own short poles in it.
Yeah.
Very cool. We slept in it. We were able to fit a large X-Ped mat and then the smaller X-Ped mat side by side. So it was 3 of us sleeping in here, completely comfortable. Had all our gear in there too. Just huge. Good ventilation. We were expecting dew. As you can see, it's still wet.
It's still wet,
so
yeah.
we did use the rainfly on there. It probably didn't need it previous night.
So I've actually heard people that have reviewed these complain about the rainfly being relatively small. Like we're used to rainflies coming all the way
That's
down
correct.
with the vestibule,
Right.
and they were like, from a testing perspective, we've never. Of course, this is your first time using it, but I'd be curious to know, in a heavy downpour, is this effective at keeping things dry? You know, running the water off. I would assume it would be. Now these windows are closable, right? So
these windows, see, in this case, this window is closed. You can see the overlap here.
okay.
So see,
So even if rainwater did get there, it wouldn't come inside
and this
the.
See how there's not a pocket here, and there is a pocket on the inside that comes up about this high.
Okay.
So when the water hits this, it's going to come straight down.
Okay.
I
So they
looked
have thought
at
about
a
that.
number of videos on this, and I have a friend that has one, and basically everyone that said it was a problem. There's some user error involved. You could just see that.
Yeah.
Now this is, again, it's a new design. It's different. So we all expect the rainfly to come down really low.
Yeah.
And in this case, it doesn't. So they've engineered it a little bit differently than the other tents. A lot of the other tents that have the rainfly coming all the way down, their windows aren't as protected as these by design.
I would expect like the rainfly, and maybe this is just the way you have it mounted, but you'd want this to be a little bit further out so that it sheds water a little bit.
You know, if this comes to here, the problem you could run into is, you start soaking this,
Yeah.
and you might get condensation inside. So I don't disagree with you that this would probably help.
And that might be what
to guide
this
out.
eye hole is for,
It's
is
possible.
to guy out.
And again,
so-
I literally didn't even read the instructions. We set it up, we jumped in and went after it.
Yeah.
The doors, look at the design of the doors. See this overlap?
Yeah.
See this? This is good stuff.
Keeps rain from coming in.
It's quality, and it says Overland on it. So
Of course,
it has to
it's
be
got
excellent.
you got to get it. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
there's actually two editions. The standard one and then the Overland. There's some differences. I won't go into it. There's videos, plenty of videos on that. But this one's a little more rugged. This one comes with the footprint. They upgraded their tent stakes, which are pretty cool. They got handles on them.
And they're threaded too, right? So they thread in.
They're slightly threaded. Yeah. They're not like the screw-in types in the beach and stuff. Now, you don't have to guy wire these out, but I did because in case we were getting some wind.
Which
if you
we
have
did
wind
that first night,
and the wind hits this wall and it collapses inward, you have a little bit of a problem. You're gonna
That's
have
a
to
good
fix it,
point.
you know?
Yeah, it could
But the cool
flex
thing is
in.
your recovery is easy. You just push the wall back out.
Yeah.
Whereas with other tents, you'd have to like be
Completely
resetting
collapse
the
you.
poles
Yeah.
and things like that. And we've had that trouble before. So
You know, you mentioned something about the X-Ped mattresses, and that's one thing I failed to mention on the trailer. So to get prepared for fall and winter camping, I actually took the factory mattress out of my trailer and I wouldn't say replaced it, but substituted it for the X-Ped, the big boy mattress.
Yep.
And I got to say, after sleeping in it, you know, some of the challenges I have with the trailer, which you guys know if you've watched some of my previous videos, is that the thermal radiation coming off the ground, you can feel it coming up through the factory mattress,
yeah.
especially when it's hot.
Yep.
Same thing when it's cold. You can feel the bottom of the trailer cold and it radiates up through the mattress. So having that X-Ped kind of eliminated a lot of that. Like I didn't feel like I was sleeping on a cold floor. I was sleeping on a really nice comfortable mat. And so for those of you that are using these trailers in the winter, if you have access to an X-Ped, the big boy one, which I think is like a Camp Queen or whatever, it fits perfectly once it's inflated. It literally, it's not oversized. You don't have to worry about it like bulging up against the sides of the trailer. It fits perfectly with no movement. So I swear by the X-Peds, and I know you do too, right?
I do
now,
too.
if you slept
Made the
on them
investment.
compared to Thermarest.
Look at the floor here. We've got just rocks.
It's all rocks.
This is cold.
Yep.
This will freeze your butt if you don't have good insulation. So all we have is the ground sheet for the tent, the floor of the tent, which I'll say another thing about the floor of the tent in a sec, and then we have the mattresses directly on top of that. There is zero problem with
stuff coming up through the mattress and keeping you cold. Yeah.
And those mattresses, they're thick,
crazy thick.
They deploy easily. I use a Ryobi inflator because it's the same battery for my my impact driver.
Yep.
And you can inflate, deflate them in just seconds.
Yep.
Makes it super easy. And when you do that, when you roll them up, especially the larger one, they're pretty bulky. That's the downside. But quality of sleep is through the roof. It's awesome, worth the investment.
It really is. And you and I both know those X-Peds are not cheap.
They're not.
I think
I'm
about
into
$450
I was
around.
into
I mean,
one of mine for
they're an
about
expensive
$4 something.
investment, but
they're also rugged. You know, you're not gonna have a problem.
And they're self-inflating, and they actually have the foam like a Thermarest.
Yes,
Just imagine a giant oversized Thermarest. So I use them for my trailer, but I also use them as an air mattress at home when people come over, so that they don't pop. You don't have to worry about that. They self-inflate and they're comfortable to sleep on. So, and I've been preaching a little bit about the X-Ped, but again, the point is, from a trailer perspective, you can swap out the factory mattress for the X-Ped in cold climates, and it works perfectly. And obviously, it works perfectly in the Gazelle too.
Let's ask Mom Anonymous how she thinks about the X-Ped mattresses.
What do you think about the mattresses?
They're the only reason I can still camp.
Right?
I literally can't. I mean, I was having a really hard time. We used to always sleep right on the ground, and it was fine when I was younger, but now everything aches. And the X-Ped has made it ideal.
Extremely
Like,
comfortable.
yeah, I can
Yep.
sleep. I sleep sometimes better out here than I do in our own bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're really nice. And I mean, looking at the ground, it's all stone underneath here. So we don't have any padding under the tent, but those X beds, you can't even tell.
Can't feel it.
Not
Yep.
at all.
Yep.
So, and I know everybody's had that air mattress where it leaks and then you end up on the ground and it's the worst thing ever. And
terrible.
this thing is it's been completely reliable.
It's a game changer. It
Yeah,
really is.
absolutely. So you wake up comfortable and you can adjust. One of the things I really like is you can adjust how much air you put in. So if you fill it all the way up, it's super firm and you might need that. Maybe you have a bad back or whatever and you need a firm mattress. I have achy hips, and so I like to leave a little bit of air out, and it gives you the cushion.
Nice little cushion.
But it doesn't go all the way to the ground. It's perfect. I love it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good stuff.
Okay, so yeah, we will wrap this up, guys. I apologize we went long, but we got a lot to talk about. It's always exciting to talk about different gear and give you guys some additional input into the possibilities of camping. Final thoughts from my point of view, and then I'll have Ladybug kind of give his opinion, because he and I have philosophical approaches to the way we camp. For those of you who've been watching my videos, you know that my major complaint was tent camping and the fact that tent camping is a bit painful. So I went with the trailer situation to kind of alleviate that, and I have found myself going out and actually camping more with the trailer than I ever did with tent camping. And I think when it comes down to it, from my point of view, the people that don't camp a lot, there's an emotional attachment to the idea of getting out and setting everything up. It's a demotivator, right? People don't want to bring all their gear out, especially if it's raining. Like when I came out here on Friday, fortunately when I got here it wasn't raining, but on the way down it was a torrential downpour. And I can just imagine somebody that's not fully committed to camping trying to set up their tent in the rain, trying to set up their gear in the rain, put their awning up. It's a demotivator. I wouldn't want to do it. Right, and I wouldn't say I'm lazy, but I'm not hardcore. So I'm somewhere in between. What I call the average Joe, the average camper, is not going to want to be hassled by setting things up. So it gives you points in favor of a trailer like this. Now, you know me, I've been advocating these off-grid trailers since day one, but there's a variety of different vendors that make trailers like this, cheaper models, more expensive models. It really depends on your temperature and your pocketbook. But I do honestly still believe that as a motivator, I'm more motivated to come out and do one of these things with the trailer than I am anything else. Now, Ladybug, I know you have a different opinion because I know you're more of a Ronnie Doll kind of guy. You like the idea of, being hardcore and tent camping, but so, give the alternative view, right?
I think it's been really fun watching the evolution of you bringing this out and getting all the systems dialed in, learning about them. And of course, you did a tremendous amount of research on what you were looking for and all the different trailer offerings that are out there. I mean, just insane research. And that's really cool. I think at the end of the day, we do need to find ways to what gets us out there quickly, efficiently, and gets us back home where we're not going, man, that just wore me out.
Right.
And that's important. It's important to find that balance. For me, there's a lot I have multiple kits for what the trip is.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just me. If it's just me, taking a whole other trailer, a whole other vehicle system with me, a lot of times it's going to slow me down.
Yeah.
And it's too much gear. The other side of that coin is I'm all about the gear. So when we roll out with the family or with more people, we cook a lot. We do a lot of at camp stuff. And so having the kitchen galley set up a certain way, I love that. It's just so fun. It just really makes me happy. So I really want all of it. I want to be able to have my truck with my drawers and my fridge and a minimal amount of gear. I use the roof rack heavily to carry all my gear.
Yep.
And sometimes in some cases you actually have to park your truck and walk in and set up camp.
So you can't have a trailer.
You can't have the trailer.
Yeah.
Some places don't allow trailers, right?
Yep.
But a lot of the wild places, it's just whatever you want to do.
Yep.
In some cases, you're setting up a base camp and staying there and hanging out, like we did this weekend. We're just here. We didn't venture a half mile from our camp on foot just a handful of times. So in that case, this is perfect. We come back, man. Here's our table. Here's our food. It's great. In other cases, we'd be packing up every day and moving. Now this trailer is very fast to set up and take down, so that doesn't slow. It's not going to slow Tommy down at all. With my truck, I have a couple different ways that I'm looking at it. I do like a lighter weight, go fast type situation. So we used a rooftop tent in Big Bend for 6 days with the family. Setup and tear down had to be disciplined, and you had to feel good. I actually dislocated my shoulder a couple of years back, and it made it difficult getting up to the roof. And that's an important thing. If you have gear that's up high or that's difficult or time and labor consuming to set up, yeah, it's going to slow you down.
Right.
So I think all of it, what I've learned from this is that I love the trailer from the standpoint of storage and cooking, and also dirty storage, like being able to throw your firewood up on top. That's super cool. It's a challenge I have with my truck because I just don't have a spot to put it.
Right.
So that's neat. Having it ready to go, you can park this at your house, have it on shore power, your batteries are topped off. You can at a glance know that you're 99% ready to go. Hit the store, throw some food in your fridge. Don't even have to worry about ice, right?
Yep.
Back to that fridge thing. And then roll. You can roll out. You could also roll back in, disconnect your daily driver, put it on shore power, and leave it. Now, obviously, if there's stuff that's wet inside, you have to worry about mold and things like that. Aside from that, you can park it and then drive to work the next day if you got to hustle to do that, and deal with breakdown, that evening or something.
Right.
So that's really cool. I think what's in my future is evolving the kit around my Land Cruiser to where I've got different rooftop options. I've got a swag, which is super, super, super brutal. You just throw that sucker down, open it up, crawl in there, and sleep. All the way up to we're looking at a family size rooftop tent that's going to take up the whole roof rack. And then we are definitely looking at a trailer type setup that has a rooftop tent on it and is mostly about the storage.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from, is the storage and convenience of that. So it's been fun. We're throwing these ideas back and forth. We're driving the gear out here.
Yep.
And
we're
learning
putting
a
it
lot.
through its paces. It's
Yep.
not a one-off.
It isn't.
We make this our dedicated approach to camping. So
It's fun.
I know we went a little long, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there. Like I said, I think that those of you that follow the videos will appreciate the amount of information. It gives you some additional insight into the types of gear that's out there, kind of what the investment needs to look like, and look forward to making my next video with you guys. As I mentioned before, Barefoot Camp and Sulphur Springs, they both shut down after this weekend for the rest of the year because of hunting season. So we're going to be finding some new spots. I know Ladybug, you and the crew are going to go out to Big Bend here pretty soon. We're still talking about doing MERS, right? MERS, or however you want to call it. And then there's also the new state park that Texas is opening up next year.
When is that? When's that open?
I don't know exactly when it's supposed to open, but I just know
Soon.
2023.
It's soon.
Yeah, it'll be next year, and that one, it's the first park in like 25 years that the state has actually opened up, and I think it's going to be
Got a lot of potential.
It
That area
does.
is pretty cool.
75 miles west of Fort Worth, so it's within reach. It's I think it'll open up some avenues for us from a camping perspective. So look forward to making those videos for everybody. Like, subscribe, comment, as I definitely appreciate all the support. We've had an increase in subscriptions, and I'll just put this out there for you guys. I don't monetize my videos. Like, this isn't my goal in doing these is to provide information to people like me that are interested in this type of equipment. With that being said, YouTube is pretty silly in the fact that they push ads for channels that have less than 1,000 subscribers. So if we can push that subscriber rate up to 1,000 or better, I can start shutting off those ads so you guys won't be annoyed by ads that, because I'm not making any money from it, and I don't plan to make any money off this channel. So, if you're viewing this video and you're not subscribed, please subscribe so that I can get to that 1,000 mark, and that way I can start controlling the ads a little bit better, and I can start notifying the community when we're going to go camping, because I don't like going a couple weeks without letting people know what's going on. So, again, appreciate the support. Let's get those subs up to at least 1,000, and then I'll have better control. But thanks, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend. Stay safe, and look forward to making my next video for you. Thanks, Ladybug. Appreciate your insights.
Sure. It's good to be here.